All right, people, this is the Union Tapes episode number 18, and it's with the ever colourful Lee Reynolds. We talk about all the usual stuff in this one. When he first got started on a BMX, what happened before it, and what happened after. Lee became popular in the BMX scene in '86 when he first started coming to Meanwhile Quarter Pipes in West London from Milton Keynes. Even though that's a bit of a trek, he became a London local around Meanwhile Quarter Pipes and the London halfpipes, and got into the halfpipe scene pretty early. After a while, he sort of turned a few heads with magazine coverage and contest results. He ended up getting on Hutch and then went to Ron Wilkerson's iconic Enchanted ramp in California for 3 weeks and ended up living there. He tells us all about the two-hip tours and driving the two-hip truck around with Kevin Martin, getting kicked off Hutch, ending up on Haro and designing one of the, what was going to be his own signature frame, which was the Bashguard Sport. We talk about the Can-Can, the iconic photo of the Can-Can, when he's drifted in and out of BMX riding from the early 90s till present day, still has an interest in BMX and a hell of a lot more. Enjoy.
Yeah, just give us a brief background, of where you was born, where you was raised.
Yeah, I was born in Oxford, which sounds fancy, right? But it was actually Abingdon was where I grew up. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Abingdon, but renowned as being pretty rough. But yeah, just my mum was really young when she had me. We lived on a council estate, and then she met my stepdad when I was, before I can even remember. And he had an uncle in Wales that let them put a caravan on their farm, basically, while they saved up for a house. So from 5 to about 10, I lived on a really old school Welsh farm, which at the time, in retrospect, I'm so appreciative of it. I got to it was old school when they had a real farm where they moved animals around and did it the right way. And then when I was about 10, we moved into Monmouth. I'm not sure if you're familiar, which is right inside the Welsh border. Yeah. And that was right about when I discovered BMX, like you're asking, and started. I had a couple of mates who somehow they got their hands on a couple of Murray BMXs.
Okay.
And then right after, I've been borrowing their bikes a little bit. I had a single speed, 24-inch with cow horn handlebars. So growing up in the country, we're already into riding our bikes, in the forests and stuff, and hitting jumps. And then I saw these BMXs; they were just made for it. And then right after that, I had another mate that got a rally burner, and they were everywhere, right? And that's when you're asking who my early heroes was. I mean, that I was eating Weetabix because Andy Ruffle was on the box. Right. So it was definitely Andy, who it's cool that I'm friends with him now, and get to see him.
Yeah, cool, man.
Great guy. He's a great guy.
Did you have a bike before the BMX? Or?
Yeah, before. I think my first bike was, just some kind of 3-speed or something. Okay. But I had converted this particular bike and removed the gears, just put it on a set gear, and just had a back brake and these massive cow horn handlebars. And that was I have a picture of that somewhere, actually. I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, that was my off-road bike. And then I think it was about 10, before, I think it was either my 10th or 11th birthday, I talked my parents into getting me a BMX. We drove over to Bristol, and I remember they had a Mongoose Moto Mag, right, with the red tough wheels. I really wanted that, but it's out of their price range, and I ended up getting a Diamondback Silver Streak.
Oh, still pretty good though. Huh?
Still not bad for my first BMX. Yeah, I was well into that.
Do you remember what that shop was?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I wonder what that was. Yeah.
My dad still probably has the receipt.
And so you're living in Monmouth at this point,
I was living in Monmouth. I was there was no like real proper like BMX track or anything like that there. My first quarter pipe I built, my dad got me some wood, brought me home some wood, and I just made that outside his garage. I remember me and my mates, we were gonna make it 8 feet high. I know we just looked at it and we're like, that's ridiculous. So I think we ended up making it 6, and that was my first
that
one.
was the stock size. So how did you know how to build a quarter pipe?
I think from either there was I'd seen some, and I'd seen directions in one of the American BMX magazines, because I built the first one without I didn't even cut the transitions. I just had the where they did it like
L shape, the same,
like that, and then and the plywood he got me was like pretty thick, so I could barely. It was like kind of it wasn't very smooth.
50p pieces they used to call them, didn't they?
Yeah. That's what I learned on, and then we upgraded and built something a little bit better at the other side of town. And then by then I was going to I was racing quite a bit. Okay. I'd actually traded my Diamondback Silver Streak for this kid that I'd met that was in town from Plymouth, I think, and he had a Hutch Pro Racer, and he wanted to trade me. He wanted to trade me frame and forks. And I didn't think about it at the time, but like I did it. And in retrospect, I think he might have like stolen. In retrospect, I think it might have been hot because he was eager to trade it. He like traded down,
Yeah, fully. Big downgrade.
Yeah, and that Hutch Pro Racer that I had. That was probably the best frame I ever had. Like I used it, and then when I eventually got sponsored by Hutch, they started giving me trick stars, and I break those all the time. And then when I rode the last whole shot before I moved to the US, where I did the high air, whatever, and that I was riding that same Pro Racer.
Well, I think I remember it. Was that the purple or something? Was it?
I would always change it different colors. I'd respray it like every couple of weeks. But Jed has it now. A whole shot. A whole shot. It was like baby blue, and he's trying to put it back together. And
Jed was the background man in Ellis's interview to make sure he didn't forget anything.
I believe that.
So you was already getting magazines like real early.
Yeah, definitely. I was getting BMX Plus, BMX Action Bike first, and then BMX Biweekly, which turned into, I think BMX Biweekly turned into
Freestyle. Well, it brought it. Freestyle was its like sister mag. Or BMX Weekly, the newspaper, or the mag.
The mag.
Okay.
There was one called BMX Biweekly. I remember that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And that brought out Freestyle, which was the Andy Preston, Mike Pardon kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then from the US, I was getting BMX Action, BMX Plus, and then eventually Freestyling, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I didn't realize there were other US BMX mags that we never got in the UK too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I've seen a few of them semi-recent.
Yeah.
So, and who's the riding crew that you built this quarter pipe with? Did they just stay at that level and not move on? Or?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, they just weren't as into it as I was. No one in Monmouth was, I don't think. That's why I started going to Hereford for races, and Ross on Wye. They were both pretty close.
Okay.
And Hereford, both of those would have little freestyle contests in the parking lot, like afterwards.
Oh, cool.
And Hereford, I never entered one of their freestyle contests because I was like still getting into it. But I do remember seeing Brian Blyther do an impromptu show there, and he was probably one of the first US like freestyle riders that I ever saw. This is before I went, because I did go to one of the early BMX beats. My parents took me, and I got to see a lot of like. Well, you asked me who like some of my early inspirations were. I was really into racing, so it's like Harry Leary and like the Patterson brothers and all the like the US pros, Stu Thompson and then of course Andy Ruffle. And the cool thing about Ruffle was he like raced and did the freestyle, right? So it's just like so impressive. And then I started going racing more seriously at Ross on Wye track, and there I won my first like 16 plus regional BMX race.
Oh, okay.
And then I entered the freestyle contest in the parking lot, and I won the freestyle contest.
Oh.
And after that, I was like, I think I prefer the freestyle. It's like, not.
And what was this, like 85 or something?
That was probably like 84. No, 16 plus. No, maybe it was 15 plus, because it was before we moved to Milton Keynes. It was right before we moved to Milton Keynes, and I was about 15 when we moved to Milton Keynes. So it must have been like 15 plus. 80, must have been 85. Yeah.
And was that the same? I take it that's the same year that Blythe was there, yeah.
No, that would have been like a year before at Hereford, or maybe earlier.
Really?
Or maybe it was earlier that same year.
Okay.
Earlier that same year. Yeah, it's a bit of a blur.
It's weird
But,
that he did a demo on his own, like.
It was weird. I'm not sure why it was there. Yeah, it was definitely just him. I'd have to. You know what's so funny too is I actually saw him last weekend. I DJ'd in Pomona,
Okay.
which is where he lives. He's a cop there.
Yeah.
And him and Xavier Mendez came out to see me DJ. So it was awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And what? So at the track they had like a proper quarter pipe.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. It was probably about 7 feet, but it was smooth. And I remember I used to be able to get about, probably like 6 or 7 feet out of it.
Oh, you're going pretty high already, yeah.
Yeah. I had like some guy like took a bunch of video there of me one day on VHS, and had it at my parents' house forever. And after I moved to the US, I went back, and they're like, "Oh, we taped over it."
Sour.
Yeah, I'm like, where are all my BMX mags that were in the loft? Threw them all out.
Oh, shit.
No, apparently the loft leaked, they said, and this is what they told me anyways, but I'm not for sure. I know if I buy it.
That was probably a pretty sweet collection you had there as well.
It was huge, yeah.
And was there anyone else at this contest, like any other notable names, or just people that kind of phased out of it?
Just local people. But after I won that thing, the next time I went there was to open up for Andy Ruffle. Like Andy Ruffle like did a show there, and me and maybe like one or two of, because there was a bike shop in Ross-on-Wye that was like kind of giving me a bit of a discount by that point, and they had a couple of other riders, and we opened up. And I remember Ruffle was like, I think he was about an hour late. And so we just had to keep going and going. I was just repeating. I don't know. I only had a handful of tricks, but I'm not sure what we did. And then he showed up in his. I think he had like a souped up Ford Escort or something.
All right.
Like white, I think it's white or red, but with his bike on the back, just pulled in all cool, took his bike off, and just totally shredded.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you end up being able to get that high, like that early? Because that's pretty high, wasn't it? Like.
Yeah. Just pedal faster and don't pull your brake. But yeah.
You didn't learn off anyone. You just full speed, go.
I didn't learn off anyone, but you did ask about when I first tried to go into Meanwhile. I knew I saw that on your questions. That was 86 when the first time I went down there. And at that point, I could get about 7 feet out. And I got down there, and I was hanging out with like Greg Guillard and Jason Hassel. And sorry, I need to kill that. Shut up. Yeah, I was hanging out, and they were all getting like quite a bit higher. And I think I'm just, I just kind of. I always put myself around people that are doing things better than me, and then it just seems like I automatically like. I just like to do my best, and it's like once I know it's possible, and you see someone else do it, So yeah, within just a couple of weeks of being at Meanwhile, I was getting about 10 feet, I think. Yeah. Well,
fucking hell. And how did you meet those guys? Did you just turn up at Meanwhile, just find it yourself?
Just showed up, yeah. And like that's what I loved about BMX. It's like there was just such camaraderie, and
yeah,
like. I think because I was pretty good as well, we just bonded. Like Greg and I hit it off right away, and then Nick Elkan. At first I was coming down, and I go. But that was a good thing about when I moved to Milton Keynes, that, you know, like I had access to London because the train station, you could get there from Milton Keynes Central, you know, like now it's like half an hour. Back then it was like an hour.
Yeah. So what age did you move from Monmouth to Milton Keynes?
15.
15, yeah?
Yeah. Barely 15, yeah.
And was there riders in Milton Keynes, or?
Yeah, there were more riders when I moved there. I moved to this little village called Stony Stratford, and Stony Stratford had a rec center, and I found that, and they had a half pipe that they had made with like two completely different quarter pipes, with just some like a really sketchy flat. They were calling it a half pipe, but really it was a 2 quarter pipes with sketchy flat bottom. And started riding that, and it was like there was a pretty good group of people, like Wig Warland, and some really good skaters too. Wurzel, this guy Wurzel.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And
Phil Chapman, he was one of the names, wasn't he? Yeah.
Phil Chapman became a really good friend of mine. In fact, he's come and visited me in the US, and I keep in touch with him. And yeah, there were some good riders, but again, they never like took it anywhere outside of Milton Keynes.
Okay, they were just local, yeah. Yeah,
just local. But before within about a year, I convinced the rec center to let me build a new half pipe, and they funded the whole thing, and that's the one that's in when they came to film me in Milton Keynes. I just built that. And,
out there feature,
yeah. I mean, it was just 8 foot high, 8 foot wide quarter pipe, but it was nice. And because they didn't want to get noise complaints from the houses, they let me completely fill it with sand. So it was like solid. It felt like you're riding a skate park. Yeah. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really.
I know. So was your first picture in a mag from Mons, or was it?
The first picture. It was funny the way it came out. Like my first picture that actually got published, I think, was in BMX in Rad, right, when they did the me and my bike thing.
No, that wasn't your first, surely.
But the picture that they took at Mons was like way older. I don't know. It seemed like it came out. That was definitely the first picture. Yeah, that one.
So what? That's it. Yeah. I've got that somewhere. Was that Mons 1 or 2? 2, yeah.
That was Mons 2.
Okay.
I think I went to the first one, but I was just spectating.
All right.
Yeah.
And you rode the contest in Mons 2.
Yeah, Mons 2. I rode the contest. That was pre Meanwhile. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw. Yeah, I remember the Milton Keynes Kid is what the name they gave you, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that name.
Very unfortunate.
Who was that? Just the mag that called you that, or was they calling you that on the mag?
Yeah, okay. They would call. They would say it at the contests and stuff.
Okay.
I was. Who
did you go there with?
I think I was quite embarrassed about living in Milton Keynes at the time because it got slagged off so badly, didn't it?
Well, there was TV commercials, weren't there? And it was like moved to Milton Keynes.
The concrete cows. Yeah, that's all they talked about. In retrospect, I really like Milton Keynes now. Actually, it's so close to London, but you're not in London, you know.
Yeah.
And the little village my parents live in, Stony Stratford, is just like it's like any other little English village, you know.
Yeah, it's just on the outside then, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so you rode what, B group at Mons?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did you place?
I think I might have gotten third place. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I did.
I didn't. Yeah. Well, what did you make of that jam? Like that was the one with all the goings on, right?
Oh yeah, that was the first time I got to like hang out with Eric Steele.
Right.
He was on fire that weekend, and then Andy Shohara, Randy, rest in peace. I met so many people that weekend. Zoid and Nick Phillip and
Jess was there as well, I think.
Yeah, Jess, yeah.
And Was that a bit of an eye opener? That, or like,
Definitely.
that was a different direction of what everything before it had come.
Yeah,
what I'd seen anyway.
Yeah, definitely, and it was definitely like more like what I wanted to do for sure.
Okay.
Like I was definitely like, by that point I was like, that's why I built the half pipe. Like half pipes just made so much more sense to me, you know. The cool thing about Meanwhile was that the whole run up to the ramp was slightly downhill.
Yeah, that's right.
Meanwhile, so you could get booking. That's why you could get so high there. You know? but generally, I don't like. I'd rather the half pipe. It's so much easier.
Yeah. And so after, was you riding BFA contests before Mons, or it was after Mons that you started?
I think before. I think I was definitely. I think I started in UK BFA at like doing like 14 plus. I was in the 14 plus expert. Yeah, so I'd entered a few. I think I was getting like. I was making like the top 10, like, but whatever.
They're pretty big classes, I guess, back then as well. Can you remember which ones where you travelled to ride them?
Pool.
Okay, so was that the Haro demo one?
I think so. I do remember being at the Haro demo one. I was definitely at the one. I was at the one where Eric Steele pulled the big 540.
Oh yeah.
That was. There was one year when my parents were taking me around, took me around all year, and then the next year I hated my parents being there. Like I was just like, for some reason, the next year I just I couldn't perform in front of them. I don't know what it was. I get nervous.
That's an age thing, isn't it? Like self-aware, being young and stuff. Yeah,
it's so funny that I get up now. You know, I perform in front of like thousands of people now, and I used to think like I would get so nervous. Even when I first started DJing, it's like be shaking. Now I don't give a fuck.
Pressure's on. That's just experience, though, isn't it? Used to it, you know. Yeah. so then, like, go on. Sorry. And
then the next year, I had gotten substantially better. That was after I started hanging out at Milton Keynes in Meanwhile, and so then I was going to the contest with Greg, and I was hanging out with Mike Cannon all the time, and you know, just. He was one of my heroes, Mike Cannon.
Yeah, Cannon.
To become like really good friends with him and get to ride with him every day was, not every day, but every weekend.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. He's a beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like, what did you guys ever get like? Was you ever aware like how dangerous that shit was back then, or was it just like full charge fearlessness? Because that's what it seemed like.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, we would rarely wear our helmets too.
Yeah,
we didn't like carrying them around with us all day because we would hit up different spots. We'd go to Romford, which was right across the other side of town. Yeah. Where else? In Chingford. Yeah.
That was a bit later though, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, around the same time, but I know you guys became a sort of semi-local there at one point.
Yeah.
So who was you and Greg was like? Up, like
because we were in the same age group, so we'd compete against each other, but we were definitely pushing each other. Like to see which one of us could hit the ceiling first. Meanwhile, he is just like a natural. It would take me a while to learn stuff. Like he just like could do it right away. I don't know what it was about him, but then he was like, temperamental, wasn't he? He got like he would get to fly out itis all the time, he was so moody and
well, did you ever
I still love him.
Catch any of that?
I still love you, Greg.
Of course.
We've been trying to get together and hook up for years now, but
where is he? Texas?
He's in Texas. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You never caught a bout of the old fly out itis, no?
No,
good to go.
No, I have my own problems. So.
But yeah, I just remember seeing like I was there that day. They shot that picture of me and my bike.
Yeah,
I just remember like it was just full steam,
Yeah.
Full power into that quarter. Like, I think that was the biggest airs I'd seen. Like,
don't even think about it. Just don't pull your brake. Hope for the best.
Yeah, craziness, man.
And that ramp, was small, right? It was like maybe 8 feet.
Yeah, it was an 8 foot. Yeah,
barely.
I remember.
Barely vert. I don't know.
Yeah. And then so after that, did you ride any early whole shots?
I only rode whole shot. What? I think I rode it twice, but one time I didn't do very well, I think. And then the next year was when I got second, and Greg won.
Oh, you only rode 2?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
No, actually, you know what? I didn't. I
thought you rode one and crashed over and over or something.
No, I only rode one. I think I just went as a spectator the year before. Maybe I rode, but I only ever went to 2.
Oh, okay. Well, weird. I thought you'd rode more than that. Yeah.
No.
And that was, what was that? The 86 or the 87?
That was 87. 87, because that was 87. And then the next thing we did after that was we put together the Chingford. Not Chingford, Crawley.
Crawley.
Yeah. Well, we did like right around the time of that whole shot, like before whole shot was when we did the photo shoot at Chingford with Windy Osborne, right?
Yeah.
And then there was whole shot, and then right after that we did the Crawley Barn Jam.
Okay. Well, let me go back a bit, because so in 86 is when you got that Me and My Bike feature, right? Which was like a thing they brought back. And then so after that, you guys were regulars in that mag.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Yeah. They used to take surf gear to Meanwhile. And you guys used to get dressed up and stuff. What did you think of that at the time? The dressing up, not the riding. The riding was always going to be cool, but
I actually didn't mind it. Like I kind of like that style. I think I grew up pretty poor, so I didn't really have access to cool shit like that until then, you know.
Yeah.
So even getting a pair of Vans was like a stretch for me when I was a kid. You know.
And it was it sort of followed on from Mons Jam, didn't it? The same sort of vibe, like the same similar clothing and stuff like that. So I could see how it appealed. But I was just looking back now, I just look at them sometimes like, whoa, it's like so bright and so colourful compared to what goes on, you know? And then so you was in it like almost every issue. You guys were like, Meanwhile was the place, and it was like you, Greg, Andy Brown, pretty much was the main fixtures in BMX stuff.
It's funny. Look at my closet.
So I can understand why he's cool with it. Yeah.
I was cool with it.
That's where you got it from. And what was those guys like, Nick Phillip and TLB?
Great. They were always nice to me. I mean, Nick. I felt like I wasn't quite cool enough for Nick Phillip, Craig Campbell, Jess Dyrenfall's crew at that point. I don't know. They had their own, but I would hang out with Fraser Campbell more. He was he was cool. But those
guys were all right though.
TLB was always really nice to me. In fact, I still talk to him occasionally, but I've sent him messages and stuff. He's great.
I would like to get him on one of these actually.
I know Craig hung out with him recently and helped him dig through a bunch of old photos.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They actually found out the picture of me that they sent me, which was nice.
Well, what was the picture?
It was just me doing a look back at I think from the Crawley Jam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
Not fully clicked, so. It took me a long time to get to master the look back. That was a tough one to get it.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Yeah,
to get it
doing it the old way. You'd have to do canning and take your foot off. You know.
Yeah.
Sort of something similar to that.
And now everyone does them the opposite way, which is insane to me.
Yeah, that makes more sense to everyone that rides later on. You know, because most people could do turn down anyway.
Yeah.
Let me just have a quick look. Did you could you see at that point in time that BMX was coming down in popularity?
It was really right. It was right when I moved to California. I think that I noticed that because I was hanging out with people. I mean, I was going to the contest circuit was dying off a little bit, but I got one good year of two hip. I rode a full year of the two hip.
Yeah, that was 88. That's a bit forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you was here, you couldn't, because you were so far in it, you didn't know it was on its way down, because I didn't really figure it out till really 88 or something. Yeah.
Either I didn't notice it or I didn't care, because I never really, up to that point, I didn't really think there was any hope of making a living out of it. Because in the UK, very few people were making a living out from BMX at that point, right?
Especially at that point.
And if they were, it was just barely a living.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but yeah, I wasn't planning on moving to California. I was just going to go out for a month, and by that point, I had gotten sponsored by Hutch. Which I mean, they were just giving me bikes basically, or Shiner were giving me bikes on their behalf, right? But I had met Ron Steban, who was he'd been out for the BMX Beat series, and he said that he would pick me, and Nick Elkan came with me. He said he'd pick us up from the airport, and I thought we were just going to go to a hotel, but he's like, "Oh, how do you feel about staying at the Enchanted ramp house?"
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Well, let me go back a bit, because we've jumped a bit. Sorry, Lee.
No, good.
So so after 86 and that, when you was getting all the coverage and all the stuff in the mags and that, you 87 comes round, and you guys start riding half pipes, right? Which is what you said you wanted to do anyway.
Yeah.
And you became sort of semi-local at Chinkford, Crouch End. You guys used to go.
What was Crouch End?
Crouch End was near Finsbury Park. It was in pretty central.
Was that the big metal one, or no?
No, that was either Stevenage or Latimer Road.
Yeah, Latimer Road.
So Crouch End was in a valley of an
an
old railway track.
Yeah. I think I went there once or twice. Yeah.
Okay.
Not too, I think.
Not that often. Yeah. It was
a
little bit smaller. Yeah.
It was small. Yeah. There was another little one right at King's Cross station.
That's right,
too. That was that one was 6 feet tall. I went to Vert, and I remember the first time I took my friend from Milton Keynes. He really wanted to come to London with me and meet all the because I'd met was
it Kev?
Kev, it was Kevin, yeah.
Kev, I see Kev. He comes in our shop.
Oh, fuck yeah. My parents...
Amazing.
He still does tree trimming jobs for my parents.
Yeah, that's it.
I see him when I go back over there. He really wanted to meet all these riders that I was hanging out with, and I took him down, and the first ramp we went to was King's Cross, and he said it was a 6 feet ramp. He said I just started riding, and he said I got about 7 feet out. And that was all I remember. I just I did knock myself completely out. Which was kind of an ongoing theme. I actually don't know how I can still just talk and do anything. I probably had at least a dozen times where I knocked myself out stone cold.
I don't remember nothing. No.
Nah, and it takes a while for it to come back too. The amnesia takes a day or two to wear off. Yeah.
So that was a hospital trip, was it?
Nah.
No? Oh, fuck it. Crouch End, here we come.
No, we had that. But he took me home. He put me on the train and took me home.
Oh, rough one, man.
Yeah.
And then so you got on Hutch. When you rode Crawley? Was you on Hutch?
Yeah.
Sponsored or okay?
Yeah.
Who was it?
It was.
Who did the Crawley jams?
Well, I'm not going to take all the credit. It was a team effort, but I think I kind of led the effort. But but it would have been me, Greg, pretty much all the people that rode. To be honest, me and Greg and everyone helped a little bit. Beverage and the local guys that let us use the ramp.
And how did you become such locals there? Like, because that was quite a private little ramp, wasn't it? Really?
That was that was from Mike from Cannon for sure.
Oh, okay.
Like he definitely introduced us to that whole crew.
All right.
Because he lived pretty close to Crawley.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was like Farnsborough or something, or I can't remember.
Farnborough or Aldershot or somewhere.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a pretty cool thing in the mags. I only went to I can't remember what number it was, second or third. But you guys and the coverage you got in some of the mags was real good from Crawley when it made it look like a really good event. Like, it looked like a buzzing scene.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, like, in that Crawley article, that was the first pic I think I saw of you when you was like getting cans like real, like you do them like later on, now as well.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of pictures from there. I was definitely like starting to get it.
Yeah, you're getting in that right place.
Yeah.
But you can't remember if that was the first place that you started sort of putting a stamp on that, or
I still don't think I could do them that well then. I don't think it was until I moved to San Diego that I really started to get them proper. Yeah. Because I've still seen some pictures of me from the first few days at the Enchanted ramp. It was really like I really just started to get them good right before that Flint, Michigan contest, which is my first 2-hip contest.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which was the one I actually have.
Famous one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky I actually have the print for that one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's That's the nectar right there, man.
Yeah.
And but there was another one, wasn't there, in Airwalk that I actually saw the other day.
Oh, you've never seen that one before?
I've seen it, but I just forgot about it. It's shot from underneath, which is
that's the most
pretty fucking amazing as well. Yeah.
That was Dan Stewart.
You think that? Oh, the skateboard photographer.
Yeah. He literally came by my house. Came by the house for like an hour, 45 minutes or something like that. And where is that? That's the most famous one. Yeah.
You think that's more famous than the Flint one?
That's a good question.
I'm taking the Flint one as the one, man.
Yeah, everyone says that's the most iconic one, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But the other one's like the other one. I'm so much higher.
I'm not saying the other. Yeah, the other one's fucking awesome as well. But that Flint one is just there.
Yeah. Huh? Can't find it.
So and then after you guys were doing the Crawley thing, like, was there 2 of them or one?
Just one.
Oh, it was just one, yeah? Okay, so I went to the second one, yeah. And like Scott Carroll, he was there as well, was he? I think people came down for it.
A lot of people came down. No, Scott Carroll was at the Retford Jam that we did.
Oh, okay.
But the Retford Jam was like, that wasn't a contest. That was just like
that's right.
Like, which I preferred actually. That was just a call out to all our friends to like come. And that's right. That's where I pulled the no-footed 540.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I saw that in the.
I think I either pulled or got close to pulling like a no-foot one-handed 540 too. I was just trying it. We're trying everything. What
Ellis said. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Mike was doing really nice one-hand, one-footer 540s. Everyone was killing it that day. I think that was the last time I hung out and rode with Scott. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like so that happened in the summer. Then the Crawley was in the winter, right?
Yeah.
So that was 87, and then so you did BFA contests that year.
Yeah.
And then there was the Tizer thing, right?
Yeah, the Tizer.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Which was like the BFA went round the country in that bus.
Yeah,
multiple buses.
It was fun.
Yeah, I think I've got footage of you from that contest as well, which I'll use. But yeah, that was a cool contest, was it?
Yeah, it was a cool contest. I did I completely sucked at the very last minute. I was doing good and then I remember just like not being happy with my performance when it was actually on TV at the end. And then at the end, I throw my bike. I'm like disgusted with myself, so I just fucking throw my bike.
I watched it yesterday, yeah.
And my grandma called me, and she's like, "You're such a sore loser." All my family. I'm like, I don't mind losing. I just hate not doing my best. You know, I hate it when I suck. I don't care if I do my best and someone beats me because they're better than me.
Yeah, I watched it, and you had a rough time. That one run was pretty terrible. Was pretty rough. Yeah. That I watched. So we had the footage of that, and it's the one where Andy Brown knocks his teeth out and knocks himself out.
Oh God.
And so he went, and on the same bit of footage, he went to hospital. That obviously that day. He came back and they let him ride the contest. And he is all over the place. Like he's like, I don't even know how he survived, but he's completely concussed. And he's just riding. Yeah. It's fucking insane.
That was a funny thing too. Like when I first went to Meanwhile, he was like, he got good really quick on the ramps too. Like right around the same time that I was like improving quickly. That's when he just started crushing it with his like no footed cans and turn downs. He's just such a great rider. But like you were always on edge watching him ride. Like it wouldn't look like he was going to pull it, but like somehow he did.
I mean, you guys were pretty much all on edge. I thought back then, like I didn't know anyone was surviving that shit. And then like that same year was the freestyling event. Do you remember that? Was that a secret?
What, when they came out to?
They came to Chingford. I mean, we was locals at Chingford, so we was there. But like, a few other people have said, you know, like Sid went and he didn't tell Ellis, and Ellis was saying, no, it was top secret. And then somebody else said the same thing, but I can't remember who it was. But you can't remember it, I guess.
I mean, I remember it. I just don't remember how we got clued into it, or. But I remember hanging out with Windy a lot, and. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. Maybe it was maybe it was because I was riding for Hutch already at that point.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say that. Yeah.
Maybe it was like a Shiner thing or something. Like, because I know the Skyway guys were there, right? But I don't know. Ellis was riding for GT at that point too, right? Well,
yeah.
Whatever that meant, anyway. Like sponsorships. Yeah. I mean, sponsorships in England, they were just giving you free pipe.
So that was just free product, Hutch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Even when I went to my first contest, in the Flint, Michigan contest in the US, I paid for my ticket to get there. They didn't pay for me.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, and I got them a shit ton of coverage.
Shit, yeah.
And then they fired me.
Yeah, you got the most memorable picture of the whole event, probably. Looking after 35 years. And I got really close to pulling a 900. Like I got it all the way around, and like almost held on, but couldn't quite. Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. Oh man. But you got the picture in freestyling from that shoot. How was that?
That was fun. I got that picture doing the weird like 1 foot.
Yeah. The sort of grizz.
Yeah. That was a fun day, and then so that like kind of I became friends with Windy, and then she actually gave me some really good advice at Whole Shot. Like when I was riding, she's like, Lee, she's like, every time you land for a trick, you shake your head. And I'm like, yeah, because like fucking suck. Like I know I can do it. I know I can do it way better. And she's like, yeah, but she's like, you're doing it better than like most of these guys. And when they land, they're all woo woo woo. she's like, don't be so hard on yourself. Just like and it is important advice, you know. Like,
you took that in, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let me just scrub up on where I am. Oh yeah, you guys you seem to all learn 540s at roughly the same time.
Yeah, I think we were definitely all trying. I actually pulled my first one on this little quarter pipe my dad helped me make. Like he actually helped me make a quarter pipe that was on a trailer. We found like a trailer chassis and
okay.
He's really good. He's got all the tools, and so. Yeah, actually, he showed me how to weld. I welded a lot of it. He showed me how to use it. Oh,
you made like a metal frame quarter pipe?
Yeah.
Portable.
Yeah.
So what do you used to do with that?
I just like, my parents didn't have room for it, so I'd always just try and find like someone that had a spot for me to leave it in. And at one point, I had it in this parking lot. I can't remember how I think my dad probably found somewhere for me to put it. I had it in this parking lot. There was a couple of miles. I had to ride my bike a couple of miles to get there. But me and my mates were over there one night, and I kept trying them, and then I landed one.
Like, no way!
Like best feeling ever.
Who was the person you sorted out? Eric.
First person I saw pull one was Eric, I think. Yeah,
it was large as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was big. Yeah. And then I think that was before. I remember seeing Rich Seeger doing him at Whole Shot too.
Oh, okay. All right, early, the year. Yeah. So that was 85, yeah.
Yeah, that was 85. He was
over 85.
That's right. Yeah, that was
cool.
I think that might have been the first one I saw, the Rich Seeger. Either Rich Seeger or Eric, yeah.
Yeah, Rich Seeger would have been before. Eric was 86, that big one that you were talking about.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, nice, man.
Yeah.
And so what was the story about going to Anarchic Adjustment's house?
Do you hear about that?
Yeah.
Well, because he made it look like he made it look like it was a shop, didn't he? To like,
it was a mail order shop in a couple
mail
of
order shop. Like, but I just assumed it was like that he had like a retail space too. So I just like went to the address, and he's like, give me a minute, and then we went into his bedroom, and I bought a pair of Action Zone handlebars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Nick was home, and he was quite receptive by the sound of it. Yeah.
Semi-receptive. That was the first time I met him. So I'd already met him before. He wasn't working for BMX Action Bike, I don't think, or Read and Destroy or whatever at that point. Right?
Oh, it was before that.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they used. I found a thing where it's their mail order catalog. So you're right. It did look like a shop, but it was obviously it was guerrilla. It was a guerrilla style, back then. Yeah, man. So he remembers you from then, does he?
Yeah. I reminded him.
So was that bad? Was that a bad start or?
No, I don't think he minded. He made a few quid off of us. We all. I took two of my mates, and we all bought something. Yeah, and those Action Zone bars weren't cheap. Those things, I know. Those things are worth a fortune now too, right?
Yeah. They're fully collectible. Yeah. So was he doing Anarchic Adjustment clothing at this point, or was it just like bike
just
parts and stuff?
Stickers? I think he had t-shirts. I think he had stickers and t-shirts. Yeah, but it was before. Like the clothing thing was really after he moved to the US.
Yeah.
Right. When it blew up as a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
How did you find that? Like Muswell Hill is like real off the beaten track as well, isn't it?
I know.
Did you just pedal out there, like from London, go somewhere in London and just pedal to Muswell Hill?
No, we took the train. I think we were on foot. We weren't on bike.
You're on foot. Okay.
Yeah.
You probably got off at Muswell Hill Underground. I think there's a station up there.
Because I used to go before I went in on my bike. I remember going down to Mud Machine to buy vans. Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh man, nice.
Yeah. But it amazes me how we used to get around before having navigation on your phone, but we used to get everywhere.
Yeah. You frustratingly used to get everywhere. I seem to remember. Yeah. You'd either find it or not, give up and go back home.
Yeah.
So then, like, we're still kind of in 87 at this point, and Whole Shot. That's the Whole Shot that comes up, that you did good in. You sure you didn't ride 86 Whole Shot? I don't know why I got this.
I might have.
I'm going to have a look.
Yeah, maybe I did because I was definitely there.
But 87, you did like real good, didn't you?
Yeah. That was the year I got good. Riding ramps at least. Yeah.
And I was looking at that photo of the 1 footer the other day, and it was like definitely one of the biggest airs of the day for sure. And that was the year with a half pipe, and Craig jumped into the half pipe.
That's right. Yeah.
And did you win that?
Greg won.
Yeah, Greg won, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I think you did a no-footed 540, but like slid out
a little bit. I crashed a few times.
You tried a 900.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'd never been pulled at that point, had they?
No.
That was like a real early one.
I kind of pulled a 540 over the channel, but like,
that's
I completely over rotate it, but like still managed to like kind of.
That's a pull. I looked at that and I was like, yeah, that's a pull. You didn't fall over. You stayed upright. Yeah.
But honestly, I was never very good at contests. Like, I'd always get like nervous back then, or I don't know. It's just hard. It's hard being under pressure like that.
Yeah, that's full on. So that's the big event of the year as well, wasn't it? Whole shot. So
I've seen pictures of me riding in practice where I'm like, I feel like I'm doing better. Like, but
yeah. Pressure's not on, is it? So
no.
Yeah. And the Trumpton things were obviously in the summer of that year.
That was so
often
fun.
Did you used to go there?
I used to go to Retford pretty regularly. It was like, no, it's only a couple of hours from, where my parents live, straight up there in Milan. I went there at least half a dozen times. Yeah.
It was good scene.
Yeah. I'd stay with Ellis, or who else do you stay with? I can't remember. It always like,
there was Ellis, Sid, Sean Allison.
Yeah.
Hudson's.
Yeah.
Dave Slade. Did you ever hang out?
Yeah, I just spoke to Dave on the phone for like an hour a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, really?
I literally hadn't spoken to him in years, and I was quite embarrassed because I'd like sent him a message on Instagram about a year ago or more, being like, what's up? But then I'm like, oh, he's too famous. He wouldn't respond to me, kind of thing. Because I've tried the same thing with Spike Jones, and you don't get a response from.
Oh, right.
But then he actually had hit me back, and I hadn't noticed that he had hit me back.
Oh, okay.
So I just gave him a call, and we wrapped out for well over an hour. Yeah, he's
amazing.
Really good. Yeah, he actually crashed at my parents' house one time in Milton Keynes.
All right,
he's a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he played quite a big part. If you listen to what Ellis has to say, Dave Slade gets a lot of good feedback in that as well. So.
Oh man, yeah.
He did more than what people expect. He did,
yeah.
Which is quite impressive.
Yeah,
I think so the Trumpton, the day that
he's the
RAD came,
he's the one that wrote. He's the one that actually wrote that article too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it was called the Trumpton riots, something or other.
Yeah.
And that was like an impromptu jam, but Nick and TLB came.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. TLB was there. I don't know if Nick was there or if they sent Dave Slade instead of Nick, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think Nick was there. Yeah.
Oh, maybe Nick was sort of phasing out at this point in time then.
But it was that was such a great day. That was really, really an amazing day.
And what about like trying the 900 at whole shot? Like, you never tried that before?
No.
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 Because that's an early, like that wasn't pulled until 89. I don't think I saw people try it until 88. So that was that was an early one. And the no-footed 540, that's your trick, I would assume, right?
I guess I was the first one to pull it. Yeah. No one even really does that trick. Anyway, it's like kind of a weird trick, right? People don't really do no-footed.
No one even does 540s, to be honest. Like, people just do them weird. Yeah, just do them weird. Well,
flip out.
Weird flares and 540s neglected, I think. But
yeah. I know, it's such a good trick.
So and then
that's funny story though, actually from Retford. Like Greg, was one time Greg and I went up together. We drove up and we decided. I had a Ford Escort Estate, like an old school tan one. And for some reason, we decided to take it to this spot that I can't remember who was in the car. Ellis was in the car, Greg, a few other people. The car was loaded, but we went to this humpback bridge that they knew about.
Oh, I've heard the story. Yeah.
And we were fucking we were getting airborne. Like we were having so much fun. It was going back and forth, just launching the car. And then at one point, it was on a very narrow road. So at one point, when I was trying to do like a 3-point turn to turn around, I backed into the fence and didn't realize it. And Greg and I drove all the way back down to Milton Keynes. Both of us got incredibly sick. Like, I thought I was going to die. Like, had to call the doctor out. It's when the doctor would come to your house in the middle of the night with his big black bag.
Briefcase, yeah.
Yeah, his briefcase. And we had carbon monoxide poisoning. Like, I had when I backed into the fence, I'd like crushed the exhaust.
Oh no.
my dad's a mechanic, he went out and looked at it. He's like, I don't know how you're still alive. He's like, you literally drove home with like carbon monoxide going into the car. Yeah.
Oh man. You didn't even. Yeah, I think they took a lot of people to that humpback bridge.
Yeah.
Somebody else told me about a humpback bridge as well. I think that was one of the Retford things.
Like that combined with all my concussions, like honestly, like I don't know how I'm like. I used to be really smart, but
Well, what were some of the other concussions that you had?
The first one I ever had was me and my mates ditched school during the lunch break when I was probably about 12, and we weren't supposed to leave, but we went to the local park and we found a shopping trolley, and then there was a big grass hill, like a really steep one. It was like an embankment kind of thing. We were seeing how many of us we could ride down the hill in the shopping trolley, and I think we had already done it with about 4 of us in the top. And I decided we could get one more if I went on the little bit underneath.
Yeah, the bit that separated the frame, like yeah.
Yeah, it was not a good idea because it like toppled over and like fucking.
And they crushed you, yeah.
Crushed you, yeah. And I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember like going to school that day. Nothing. But they took me back to school. And I was just in it. My mates just kept an eye on me all afternoon.
No way, man. And that was the first one, yeah, the first big one.
That was the first big one, and then after that, all the rest were on my bike. Many.
It never put you off.
No.
And that's why I'm amazed at like you guys from that era, just like the determination for nothing.
Yeah.
For nothing, just like we're gonna fucking kill ourselves. Don't care.
Yeah, the first week I was in California was when I did that photo shoot with Spike Jones. And then I got that.
Oh,
the invert picture, yeah.
Okay.
This one, right? That one. Yeah, this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that. There you go.
So that was the same day they shot the can with the guys reading the book. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you're right. Yeah. The freestyling ad, yeah, same day. Yes. Also the same day I.
That's it. Yeah. That's the one I was thinking of.
Same day I knocked out both my front teeth too.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you end up like? You met Ron Stabane. Like, how did you end up going
to the ramp house?
Meeting all of those people? Yeah, that scene.
So Ron Wilkerson had just moved out of the ramp house because him and Stacy didn't want to live there anymore. So he basically he bought a nicer house like just up the street so that he could still use the ramp. Well, there were 2 ramps there by that point, right? There was the BMX ramp, and then Steve Stedham had built like a big skate ramp back to back with it. And so he was renting the house out to people. So Kevin Martin had just moved in there. Haji, who was Spike Jones's best friend, they had just moved out from Maryland together. And then Rocky, who was Kevin's best friend from Connecticut. And the 3 of them were living there. And basically Ron Stebbin was like, hey, there's these 2 guys coming out from the UK. Would you be interested in, like, they were basically gonna stay in like a hotel and spend all this money. Like, how about they stay here? And like basically, I think we covered their rent for that month.
Oh, all right, yeah.
But it was still, that was still like a crazy deal for us because I think their rent was only like $750 a month or something back then for the whole place.
$1 for a pound as well back then.
Yeah.
So what did you go with?
I went with Nick Elkan, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I kind of vaguely remember, yeah. So he's in the picture reading the mag, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And then we just became like instant like best friends, you know, me and Kevin and the whole crew, and you know, Chris Potts as well. Like I stayed with Chris and his dad actually. Like when I came back the second time, I actually lived with Chris Potts and his dad in Vista for a few months before I moved back into the ramp house.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was what year was that? 88 you moved there?
Yeah.
Or went there the first time?
Yeah.
And did you stay there longer than you planned on staying and then come back, or did you come back and then go back?
We were planning on being there for a month, which we were. And then I came back to the UK for about a month or less, I think. And then back then you had to get, you know, it was before the visa waiver program. So you had to get a 6-month visa to go to the US. So I had a 6-month visa. So I would stay for 6 months. Then I'd go back to, I would, you know, go home for a month or a couple of weeks sometimes. And, I did that for quite a few years before they start like questioning you after a while though, you know, what you're doing. And then I just stayed. I was illegal for quite a while.
Oh yeah, you was, yeah?
Yeah.
What who was riding the ramp? What sessions used to happen on that ramp? Who was the locals?
The Enchanted ramp?
Yeah.
The locals, Chris Potts, Dennis Langlays, Scott Ewan was this other guy that was really good. Would be there every day. Semi-locals were like the Dirt Brother crew.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the main local is going to be Ron Wilkerson.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. So I got to ride with him, like, which was fantastic, you know. And then Brian would come down all the time. Pete Augustine would come by all the time. Matt would be there quite a bit too, you know, because he would come out to be. This was when he was still riding for Haro, so he'd be out there a lot doing stuff for them. Yeah.
And what was the skate scene like there then? If Stedham built that ramp,
Steve Stedham had the skate scene was insane. Like Danny Way was there regularly, Steve Stedham, Mike McGill. Yeah, like
so big pros, yeah.
Yeah, big pros.
And what was the sort of the average week at like the Enchanted ramp? You just riding every day, or do you have lights there?
We did have lights at one point, yeah, but mostly we would go to the beach until like later in the day until it cooled down a little bit, yeah. And then or get up and ride in the morning, and then avoid the midday heat.
And was it like you'd ride to learn something, or you just jam?
But I'd try and learn something as much as I could. Yeah. No, I was always trying to learn new stuff. Yeah, I wish I had video from there, man. I had that ramp so wide, like I feel like I could definitely get like 12. 13 feet on that. Yeah.
I remember it was one of the times you came back and you was telling someone else, and I was like in the background, and you were saying, I can't remember if it was plus or freestyling, and you were saying about they was doing I think it was a thing on lip tricks. Am I right in this one?
Maybe was it?
It was like they were doing a feature and they wanted to shoot some sequences, but I know one of the sequences was a rock walk drop in.
Yeah.
And this was before the mag come out. You was telling someone, you was like, oh yeah, they asked me if I knew any lip tricks, and I was like, yeah, I can do a rock walk drop in. And you've never done it before. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I thought it was. Yeah. And you like slammed 2 or something and pulled the third one.
Yeah.
Oh, classic. Do you remember what mag that was?
BMX Plus, I think. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't got that. Yeah, I need to get that. Do you remember what the other trick was?
I know that they did. No, I can't remember.
Maybe a backside boneless or something.
Maybe. Yeah, that was definitely a trick I did a lot. Okay. I got another sequence doing a nose pick, but it was on a mini ramp.
All right.
That might have been
That's
the
probably
same one
later as
too.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, that was when what's his name? Shoot, forgetting his name now.
John Kerr.
No, John. Oh man, never mind.
Yeah. And what? So, how often did the mags come and shoot photos at that place?
All the time, like a couple, at least 2 or 3 times a month. They'd be down.
Really?
Like, yeah, I did bike tests for BMX Plus. Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
And you came back to the UK for what, like a month or something, and then would go back out there, or less?
Yeah, less if I could. As little as
and was you getting paid when you was out there to ride, or what was this?
I was getting paid to do shows, and I was doing a lot of shows. But
what about Airwalk?
Airwalk weren't paying me. They would just get. No, but they would just, like, in retrospect, I mean, it's like I was so clueless. I've never been the best at making money, but if I had like a manager or something, or like some riders, their parents are like that, like they know how to, like I never had that, it's like
So how did you get just from doing shows and you just save your money?
Yep. Yeah.
What about contests?
I never had any money.
Yeah, you just live hand to mouth.
I didn't care. So I didn't need it. Doesn't seem like back then. But,
and when you moved back to the UK and then went back, how did you get back to the US?
I sold my car. I sold the car that I had.
You sold the carbon monoxide car, yeah.
Yeah. But then I was there for about a year until I had my like really bad accident. And then I had to go back. Then I had to go back to the UK, and I thought that was it. I thought I was going to stay, and I was back in the UK for about a year. And all my friends, and that's when I really realized that like the BMX industry had like completely slumped out, because like all my friends had stopped riding, like there were no ramps. And that's when I started like getting more into music and going out clubbing and starting to make music and. But then after about a year, my uncle asked me if I would take him on a California vacation, his treat. And when I was out in we were there for a few weeks, and I met all my old friends again in San Diego. And I'm like, damn, I met a girl, and I'm like, I'm going to move back. So,
you came back here for a year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what year was that? 90 or something? 91?
Yeah, 90 to 91. Wow. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I started getting more and more into music. I went and saw Depeche Mode. I remember seeing Depeche Mode at Wembley, and I'm like, wow, electronic music's pretty cool.
So it was a life changer, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I ate some acid too, which helped.
He enhanced it for you, yeah. So let me go back to the BMX in '88 for a minute, though. So you rode a few of the 2 hip contests.
'88, I rode like almost all of them that year. Yeah. I got 3rd place overall for the year for like amateur or whatever.
All right.
So like I think it was like Matt Hoffman, Dino DeLuca, and then I got 3rd place, I think.
Oh, cool, man. Yeah, good stuff.
I have a plaque for that.
What was they like? Those contests busy or?
Yeah, they were busy and they were fun. I mean, like not as busy as I'd seen it in the past, but they were busy.
Okay. They look good on video.
Yeah. The thing was like I was the one like building the half pipes and like taking the half pipes to the contests.
Oh, right.
So it was like, aside from that first one, the first one at Flint, Michigan, that one I just flew to. And that's why I think that's why I did like pretty good at that one. Because some of the other ones I had been like driving, like the one that was in Austin, Texas, me and Kevin Martin drove the half pipe from San Diego, had all sorts of problems along the way. So by the time we got there, we had to just stay up for basically 2 days straight building the ramp. And then I entered the contest. After, I should not. I was in no condition.
You should have been standing up.
Should not have been doing anything. And that one I tried at 900, and I don't know how I pulled so far away from the coping, but I'm literally just spinning.
I think I've seen it, yeah,
and just land almost in the middle of the flat bottom somehow. I think I broke my shoulder. I broke my jaw. I had to get a bunch of stitches.
Shit. Yeah. What was the ramp? I didn't know that the ramp was taken down and put back up in different places.
Yeah.
So it was just wood. It was a cut ramp, but it was just wood, yeah?
Just wood. Just all wood, yeah.
And you had to take it back down and put it on what? A big truck?
Yeah. Or a big, so Ron bought a dually, a big, a big truck with double wheels on the back. And then he bought a 28-foot trailer that you could fit the whole thing in there, but it didn't have a fifth wheel. It just had a regular tow hitch on it.
Okay.
Right. And didn't have trailer brakes. Half the time the lights didn't work on it. So it was the sketchiest thing to have behind you, because I don't know how much it weighed, but it was
well, it had a whole vert ramp in it.
Yeah, it had a whole fucking vert ramp in it. Yeah. So me and Kevin Martin drove it from San Diego to Schenectady, New York, which is essentially from your direction. San Diego, it's diagonally across the whole country. And it took us 62 hours nonstop.
No way.
We were driving, just the two of us. We only had time to stop and get gas and snacks and so we'd each do a tank of gas, and it took us 62 hours. Yeah.
Wow.
And then we put the ramp together, and then I rode, and I actually got third place in that contest. So I did all right.
Oh man. How many times that ramp get used? Do you know?
Got used
the indoor contest with the same ramp.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know any of this. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, same ramp that year. Aside from the first one at Flint, Michigan, the rest of them were all that run. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. But did it start moving by the end of them series, or what?
Did what?
Was it moving?
It was so sketchy. It was so sketchy. You remember John Byers?
Yeah.
How good he was. He was such a good rider too. He would get so pissed off that he started bringing a level out, and he would go there while we're setting up, and it'd be making sure that it was perfectly vert. Smart guy.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I didn't know any of that. Yeah. So did you?
The sketches was the Austin, Texas one where I crashed because it was on a barge.
Yeah, everyone moaned about that moving.
So it was moving. It was you could never tell where it was going to be a little bit undervert
in the right place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Man, that's all new. I didn't know any of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold up. Where were we? Oh yeah. So after the that one contest was it Flint? You got booted from.
Oh yeah.
Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, that was ironically because I paid for my own flight out there, but I think that they accommodated me. I was staying in a room with Chris Potts, and then Ron Stebbin had a room next door. Ron Stebbin was quite religious, I don't know if you knew that.
Okay. No, I didn't know. No.
Quite religious, I guess. And anyways, I had just gotten third place. I was hanging out with all these riders that I'd seen in the magazines for years and years, these people that my bedroom in the UK was just like behind you, just adorned with posters of these guys. And I wanted to after party. So I did. I went out after partying, and then ended up not making it back to the hotel until they were all packed up, and basically they were about to leave to go to the airport, and they were waiting for me. And
they were that mad that
he was that mad. Ron Stebbin was I think I'm gonna have to suspend you, and I'm don't bother, I quit. Yeah.
Well, what was he like, Ron Stebbin? Was it?
He's a nice guy.
Yeah,
he's nice. Yeah,
he just wasn't feeling that one. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. nothing bad to say about him at all.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah, I guess I was a bit of a wild one, at that point in my life.
Yeah. Well, you got to expect from a guy who rides a BMX, though, isn't it? But it's weird that you was like I would say the main pro.
Yeah.
Like even though you rode amateur, you was probably the person getting the most coverage. Maybe Chris Potts.
I did in that. Yeah. No, I was for them definitely. Yeah. And for that contest, I got tons of coverage. But
how did you say that? I quit.
Fine, he didn't argue.
Yeah, he didn't care.
And then I went back, and Matt Hoffman was like staying with me, and he had just gotten a new bike from Haro, so he gave me his old Sport. So I had a bike right away, and then right after that, Trend Bike Source, who I'd become friends with, they hit me up and like they co-sponsored me. They can't sponsor me. They also sent me a new bike, and then I think they paid for me to go to the only AFA contest I ever entered, which was Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was quite a seminal contest, wasn't it? That one.
Yeah, well, it was because it was where Ron crashed, and
that's what I mean. Yeah,
I was like, yeah. I was like, right. And I was really close with Ron. I was dating his wife's sister at the time. I was spending a lot of time at his house. And so, yeah, it was crazy. And I was the closest one to the ramp. Like when he crashed, it was like, so I was like the first one there, and like, so gnarly. He just like smashed his face. Yeah. Life changing for him. He was never the same afterwards. I still see him. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that in the UK. Like that sort of went around that he was in a coma, right?
He was in a coma for weeks. Yeah, it was like touch and go for sure.
Yeah, I remember people saying that certain riders were going to talk to him while he was in the coma to try and get him out of the coma. I remember all these like horror stories. Yeah. Came around. What was he doing? Nothing, and he missed or something. Like, hung up or something.
Didn't get back on. I was like the bar's twisted or something, and so he just a full face plant. Yeah.
Fuck, that's a reality there, isn't it? Like you just realise this shit.
That's the worst too, when it's like it's like your front wheel hits, and it's just that last
catapult,
like flip down. Yeah, that's what happened to me. When I smashed my teeth out with that photo shoot, I was doing a turn down, and I was high, but then like I think it was when I used to wear all those stupid like fucking wristbands, wristbands and swatches and shit.
Oh, okay.
And it like got caught. I think it got caught on my brake lever, and I couldn't unclick properly. And then so when I just like nosedive in, and my bars weren't straight, so I just like catapulted like all the way over, and I just had like one of those old school like Haro mouth guards on.
Yeah,
which didn't do anything. I smashed both of my front teeth out.
And where was that, in the US or the UK?
That was in the US. Yeah.
What, on the Enchanted ramp?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I still have one of the teeth. Spike Jones said he found my tooth 20 feet away from where I crashed. It went up. Way. It went through my lip. It went like tore through my lip, so my lip was like split completely open, and yeah, it was gnarly.
And what do you have to do for that? Go to the dentist in the US and then not pay the bill? How'd you get around that?
Well, I was on vacation, so I did have insurance.
Okay.
For that one, yeah. But then after that, when I was illegal, I definitely like had like quite a few times where I went to the ER and gave them like fake names and shit like that for stitches. Yeah. If I knew it was something like broken bones, you can't do like it. But like if you're just getting stitched up, like I definitely have like at one point I ended up getting like 40 stitches in my elbow. I just like the thing was just wide open, and that one I just went in and gave him a fake name and then took the stitches and then took him. I'm okay at taking stitches out.
Still pulled them out yourself, yeah.
Yeah, pull them out yourself.
Oh man. So you end up doing. You didn't do shows for Hutch, but you did shows for Haro.
Yeah, I never did any shows for Hutch, but I did like tons of shows for Haro. Like after, so Well, first of all, I did like a whole summer tour for them in '89. So I think we went through we did like 40 states. We were on the road for 10 weeks, doing shows.
Who was that? Who was that with?
Me, Rick Moliterno, Jess Dyrenforth.
Oh, okay.
And Joe Gratola, like half and half. Like we started out with Joe Gratola. Kevin Martin was the announcer. Joe Gratola and Rick Moliterno like just couldn't they were just fighting a lot. They had beef. I don't know what it was.
Oh, okay.
And so Joe was also dating Chris Douchy at the time.
Oh, okay, I remember that.
And I think that's all he could think about. Like he just kept. So like I think halfway through the tour when we were like in Ohio or somewhere like close to where she lived, he just left and stayed away. And just like he's like, fuck you guys. He's like I'm gonna get laid. And then we flew Jess in, and Jess finished up the tour with us.
All right, I think you mentioned that, yeah.
And then Jess and I ended up going on to do shows together for a long time. Like after I moved back to the US in '91, the only way that I could make money, I still did shows for Haro. I just did Jess and I did shows all throughout California, like for the Dare program. So
okay, was that Gail Webb?
No, Gail Webb. Yeah, she was working with Joe and Dennis, right? They were doing shows. Okay. And that was part of the Dare program too, I think. This was just school assemblies that we were doing. We were going to just schools all throughout California.
What was that Haro tour like? Like where you 40 different shows, was it? 40
different states. We did states. I think we did about 60 shows, something like that. Yeah, we did about 60 shows. Yeah.
That's pretty intense then, isn't it? Like a lot of driving.
Yeah, lots of driving. Yeah. Insane amount of driving. And I actually helped book the tour too. Like I was working in the office with Bill Hawkins. Me and him became good friends. And I was actually helping him book the tour before they knew that I was going to be going on the tour. I was helping him book it. I think it was originally supposed to be Matt, but then Matt left Haro to do, Hoffman Bikes.
Oh, okay. So it's a bit later, yeah.
So I took his place, I guess, on Haro.
Because there's some of that footage on YouTube, isn't there? You've seen it?
Yeah,
it's pretty good. Some pretty good shows on there.
Yeah.
Was that fun or was that just like strenuous? It sounds like a lot of work. I
love it. I just love doing shit like that. Yeah? I love meeting people. I mean, like people say the same thing about DJing because, like last week I probably took half a dozen flights, a train ride, and it's a lot of traveling. But I just love I love meeting people and like being able to like entertain people for a living. It's just like the greatest thing,
Yeah, you sound like you like being busy as well. So
I like being busy. Yeah. And I still have friends. I still have friends like all over the world from BMX. That's the best thing about it.
Yeah.
And it's almost cool that I never really made any money doing it, because it's not like, it's like, I don't know. There are people that made like tons of money that like obviously weren't happy with life, right?
Yeah. But I think for most of the people that were in your era, it shapes like their personality. It didn't really, the money thing is neither here nor there, but it's changed like the way they think about things. That's what I think anyway. Like you, Greg, like Jess, and like a bunch of like the guys that I've spoke to have definitely been like, that's what I interpret.
It seems like either people go on to be like really successful at other things, or they can really get stuck in a rut. And like, I mean, I have like quite a lot of friends that have, ended things because I feel like they couldn't capture that high again, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was the case with like Pepe and lots.
Yeah, Pepe got back into riding and was pretty good again, but he wasn't like he was before. But yeah, and then it just, I don't know what happened with Pepe, but suddenly he was gone. Like I saw him quite a few times when he was back into it. He was always really, really cool. Yeah. He's a really friendly dude. Like I didn't know him in the 80s, but yeah.
Yeah, it's always sad. I was really good friends with Mark Reardon. I mean, they're all for different reasons, right? But like Mark Reardon, Scott Carroll, and
What did you ever ride the ramp room in Cardiff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Quite a few times, yeah. I would actually stay. I would stay with the Reardons. I'd stay with Mark.
Oh,
and
all
Andy.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some like crazy footage of Mark Reardon and Andy Reardon actually in that place on YouTube.
Yeah,
like blasting that quarter.
Yeah, no, they were so good. They also took me to another half pipe that was on the top of this massive hill.
But Swansea, it wouldn't be Swansea.
It was in Cardiff somewhere, but it was crazy. It was a sketchy ramp. But it was on the top of this massive hill in like a little forest.
Half pipe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. I've not heard of it. Yeah. So what took you out of BMX in that 1990 period?
Well, I mean, my first time I broke my.
Okay. Yeah.
First time. It was the first time I broke it. They said when I got to the hospital, it was completely sticking out in the wrong direction. And when I got to the hospital, they said just the skin was holding it on. They said it was my foot was just completely separated from my leg.
Yeah.
And I also cracked the actual big foot bone, that was cracked across the bottom too. It took me probably a year to really be able to walk properly and have mobility back in it.
And what was you doing? What trick was you doing that?
Oh, it's embarrassing. I grind. And
okay. I thought it was. Yeah.
It was so stupid.
When you put your foot in the frame or something.
I was really hungover, and I remember doing the grind and thinking, fuck, I'm gonna go off the end of the ramp, and I think I tried pulling my brake, which obviously doesn't do anything to slow you down. No. And then before I knew it, I just went off the edge of the ramp, and somehow my foot got stuck inside my front triangle. I don't know how. And then when I landed, I basically
snapped.
It shattered. It was shattered. Yeah. So it was a really long surgery. They had to pick out all the bone parts, and my ankle was bruised for a couple of years. It looked like it was.
Oh, no way.
Dark. Yeah. It took forever to heal.
What was that on the Enchanted ramp? Was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. It was a bummer. It was.
So you couldn't ride at that point in time. You couldn't ride for a year.
And it was right. I was finally going to have a contract with Haro. I was going to have my own signature bike. I actually designed the first the bash guard. I have a picture. I showed John this recently. The frame, the sport where the down tube bends under to become the bash guard.
Yeah.
I designed that when I was on tour. I have the picture of it somewhere, and that was going to be my signature bike. I gave it to Bob Haro, and they basically made it.
And they made it, but just
didn't give me any credit for it.
Yeah. So how are you designing the bash guard bike? I don't even thought you did any tricks on the sprocket.
I was only designing it because because Haro had given me the bash guard bike that they had designed to take on tour. I had one of the first ones.
Okay.
And I broke it. I broke it within a couple of weeks of being on tour, and it was and so then I went back to just riding a sport, and I'm what. I mean, the bash guard thing didn't seem like a bad idea at the time because the the front chain ring was so big, and I did doing disaster. There were a lot of lip tricks that I did.
Oh, okay.
Sprocket I was doing. I could do 540. I was doing 540 to disasters. And so it seemed like a pretty good idea to have the bash guard back then. So I just wanted one that was basically a sport version, a sport length.
Yeah.
And so that was what I.
So just longer with a bash guard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I never knew that. Yeah, that's quite a well kept secret, that one.
Yeah, if I can find, I'll send you a picture of it because I found it recently.
Amazing.
I sent a picture to John. Yeah.
So that took you out, and then you moved back to the UK once to heal your leg, right?
Yeah. I moved back to the UK to heal my leg. And
took some acid.
And yeah, it took some acid. And also, I ate my first hit of ecstasy. Started going out clubbing more. Started smoking weed. All those things.
Okay.
I was a late bloomer on all that stuff. I never looked back.
Was you working at this point in time?
I got a job. Well, my parents. That time, I got a job. I was like managing the local Olin Mills photography studio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know how. Like, I just got I got a job there, and then the supervisor stole a bunch of money and quit. And so the area supervisor was like, "You seem responsible," and gave me the job. But prior to that, I was working in London at the Dorchester. Like my parents worked for this small company that take care of all the plants and flowers at like the Dorchester Hotel in London. That one of them, they worked for the Sultan of Brunei, who was like the richest man in the world at the time. Did like Mercedes-Benz showrooms. The reason my parents moved to Milton Keynes was because the Mercedes headquarters is there. My dad was doing it. He was doing a lot of work there. You know, that's basically his contract. But I was working in London. I was working at the Dorchester, and that was before I moved to the US.
Okay.
And then when I moved back, I ended up doing that again for a little while. Yeah.
All right. Nice. So then you end up your uncle, you said, pays for you to go to the US.
Yeah.
And then what's the next chapter there then?
The next chapter was I went back. Ended up moving in with Chris Potts. That's when I lived with Chris Potts and his dad. Actually, now that I remember.
Okay.
Lived with Chris for a while, and then I ended up getting a place downtown with this guy Flame, who I'd met. Who he ended up becoming the flatland rider for the shows that I was doing for the school assemblies. Like I think Jess had gotten fully into rollerblading by that point, inline skating, and I was still doing the shows. So Flame, we had lived together. He also liked to go out raving. So ironically, we were both going out partying, and then we were going to these shows and doing these shows, and which were just say no to drug shows, and like telling the kids, hey, we couldn't do this if we did drugs.
And then where did you go from there then?
That I did that until about 90. Let's see, where did I go from there? That would have been until about 95, 96. Then I started getting more into like graphic design. I was getting more into like I was DJing out more at that point. I was like throwing little nights and stuff. And then my ex, she got offered a job designing for Fox Motocross. Like they were just a motocross company at that point, but they wanted to launch a sportswear line. And so they hired her to launch their sportswear line. So that's when we moved up to the Bay Area. And a year later, they hired me to design their BMX and mountain bike line.
Okay. So this is like mid-90s, I assume.
Mid-90s, 97, 98.
Yeah, that's it. We used to sell it in our old shop, probably the stuff that you did.
Yeah, I designed all the white like elbow pads and knee pads that Dave Mirra used at the X Games.
Okay.
Yeah, I designed those. I designed like a bunch of gloves.
Yeah, the Protectors used to be a famous glove that we used to sell. Yeah.
And
there was a few others. Yeah, but they did like long, like more normal clothing, like what you're saying, like long sleeve T-shirts and stuff instead of like race jerseys. That was you, yeah.
Yeah,
like shorts and stuff like that, socks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's and is that how you sort of drifted back in a bit more?
Yes, 100%. So when I started at Fox, this guy Dwayne Taylor, he actually raced for Standard, and he was working in the sponsorship department at Fox. We became really good friends, and he hooked me up with Rick again. Obviously, like Rick and I, were good friends from spending so much time together that summer. And so Rick gave me a Standard. He gave me like a full bike,
nice.
like an STA. It was really nice. And the San Jose Ramp Club was.
Oh right, I know. Yeah, the skateboarders.
Yeah. It was. It was just this little. It was like a half pipe and like one box jump inside this little spot. And I went there, started riding again. I was hanging out, like, I remember Chad Kagi had just had like double knee surgery, and he would like sit on top of the half pipe. Nobody used the half pipe. They're like, they all like used, there was like a vert wall.
I remember it. Yeah.
They had like a spine and then a box. Cameron Birdwell, like basically,
that's it. Yeah.
He lived behind the half pipe.
Oh, okay.
From what I understand. He killed that place. Like,
he's still really good actually. Yeah.
And Ryan Nyquist, that was like the first time I met him, and but no one rode the half pipe, so like I could like they were, I was kind of they were like kind of impressed with me, I guess, because that's when Chad he like literally like while he was recovering from, he had both of his like ACLs replaced or whatever, like he would just sit on top of the ramp and watch me ride. And like we became like good friends.
Oh, nice!
And like I like, it was like everything came back. Like I was like getting like about I was getting 8 or 9 feet out. I was doing like no handers again. I was trying to get my 540s back, and I think I just started trying getting tail whips back again. And I was just having fun with it.
Yeah.
But then Fox also they sent me to the X Games like to do like some R&D whatever. And I went to the X Games and I was like, well, a few people were crushing it. Like obviously like Hoffman, Mira, and Miron were all like crushing it. And a few other people, but like. I was looking at the top 8 and I was like, man, there are a couple of people that are in the top 8 here that like, I think I could probably like squeeze into the top 8. Like there were definitely like a few people. I'm like, I could do that. And so that was when I was like, oh fuck it, I'll start riding a bit more and like enter an X Games. So that'd be so fun. But then one night after it was funny because I was pretty much done riding, so I took all my gear off, and then I usually only ride the half pipe, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to hit the box jump on the way out that they have, and I hit the box jump, and I think I just did like a no footer or something, and didn't get one. Just like, no, I'm not sure what happened, but like I landed with my foot off the pedal and just rolled my ankle again and just broke it. It was the same one, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Man. And so again I was like immobile. It's like another like not as bad as the first time, but it broke right above where the plate was from the first time. Just snapped right above that. So they took 2 screws out, overlapped it, like put 2 screws back in, and then like more.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Fuck. What year was that? Like 97 or something? 98?
98. I think it says it on the X-ray. Yeah.
Shit.
February 98. Yep.
Oh, man.
And then, I mean, I still ride after that even. Like, it's not, like, doesn't scare me. It's just, like, for some reason, like, there's never really, it's always, I've never lived like right next to somewhere, or it's always awkward. I'm always like doing stuff on the weekends. But was it 2010? Around about this time, I was riding a lot, and like they had Oh yeah, they had this old school reunion at Claremont Skate Park. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah,
but like
yeah,
I went, I literally had not ridden in like I think probably about like 5 or 6 years or something like that, and I ended up getting a fucking full-page spread.
Is that the picture in the pool? Yeah, that's one of the pictures I was thinking of earlier.
Yeah. That's on that bike that Rick gave me, the STA.
Oh, okay, cool, man.
Yeah, I'm still riding it. And then
I saw you popped up on Facebook, I think maybe a few times riding that pool, right?
Yeah. That was, the local YMCA. One? No, that's the one.
Okay.
And then I went to the old school BMX reunion, and I got another picture.
Oh, that's fucking sick. Yeah. Yeah, man. So that's the Woodward one, yeah.
Yeah, that was like my first time. That like, riding a ramp that big takes some getting used to too.
Yeah. What was the San Jose ramp? Is the San Jose warehouse the old Santa Cruz warehouse that all those guys used to skate in?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. This was more like this was actually specifically like
I know the one you mean, but I just wondered if those two were in the same building. Like, yeah.
No, there was also
one that had a spine and a vert ramp, but it didn't have a box.
No, it must have been different.
That was an early 90s, not a mid 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was that, and then they also had the Van Skate Park in San Jose.
Oh, that's right.
Which was like massive. Yeah.
But that was the one indoors. That one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Indoor, outdoor, mostly indoors, but it had some like outdoors parts too. Yeah.
So riding is still pretty deep within you, though, isn't it?
It is, man.
You can't get rid of it, can you?
Can't get rid of it. I also got I rode like I was in Australia right before COVID, and I hadn't ridden again. It had been a couple of years. The last time I rode before that was Xavier Mendez's 50th birthday, where he rented out a skate park in Pomona, and everyone was there. Matt was there, and Pete Augustin, and John Butons, and John got a pretty good picture of me from that one too, doing a can. But then after that, a few years later, I was in Australia, and we ended up getting an Airbnb right on Bondi Beach, and like there's that legendary skate park. I could see it from the Airbnb, so I like walked over. I'm like, oh man, this is like, and there's nobody there. It was like maybe one person skating, and so I just like took a video. I just posted a video of me there, being like, oh man. Any locals want to meet me here? I was pretty much joking because it had been so long, and it's like I don't want to fucking hurt myself like on the other side of the world, Yeah. I don't want to hurt myself, period, especially not when I'm in a foreign country. But sure enough, these guys hit me back, Mick Neeland and all of his mates. I don't know if do you follow Mick?
No.
On Instagram, you should. He's like, he shreds. He posts photos on a weekly basis from like the best like skate parks in Australia. He's my age. I don't know what you are, but like
a little bit. Yeah, it's the same age, really.
Yeah. And he's in his 50s, and he just shreds. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, me and my mates will meet you. We'll meet you over there. And sure enough, they did, and they bought me like one of those brand new like box stock sport, lineage.
Okay,
sport.
Yeah.
Because we bought you right. I didn't even have to borrow a bike. They bought me like my own bike to ride. Bought me a helmet, and I'm like, all right. And I end up, I rode. I end up like, there's a video of me getting about 4 feet out doing a one hand, one footer. I think.
All right.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name? Mick
Neeland. Yeah.
Neeland.
Neiland. Yeah.
I'll have a look. Yeah, man. Cool.
Yeah. And they bought a bunch of old like BMX mags that had me in.
Really?
Yeah. It was cool. They're awesome.
Cool shit. Yeah, proper,
I'm trying to remember I'm trying to remember what his friends' names are. I just spaced out on it right now. Sorry, but yeah.
So when was the actual last time you rode a BMX?
No, that was it.
That was it, yeah.
Well, actually, funny. No, it's not a funny story. I have I've ridden I've done some like riding on the streets and stuff, but like that was the last time I rode vert. But when I moved to San Francisco, like a few years ago, ended up there's a skate park like just a few blocks from my house. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna ride that one. I'm gonna check that out, and I fixed up my bike. Just dusted it off, pumped the tires out, greased it up a little bit, and. To be honest, I'd been up all night. I'd like DJed. I'd had like an after party at my house. Like everyone had left, but I was still. The sun had come up. I still wasn't tired, so I'm not gonna ride. I'm not even gonna take a helmet or anything. I'm just gonna ride over to take a look at the skate park, so that when I'm sober and in the right frame of mind, I know what to expect. And I got about 2 blocks from my house. And the first I tried to just do like a little manual or something, completely flipped off the back, and I got those pedals. The pedals were so grippy, I couldn't get my feet off as I was flipping back, and so I put my arm back, and I dislocated my thumb. Like totally, I looked down and it was just like fucking like sticking out in a weird position, and I just like popped it back in. I didn't go to the hospital or anything, and it took months to I still got a massive, it's still got a massive lump on it, but whatever.
How was Rambo popping that back in? How hard was that?
Pretty painful, but not as painful as my knee. My knee's been popping out since I was like 19 or 20. I remember being sat down playing video games with my friends, like didn't even feel anything, and then like cross-legged, and then getting to stand up and like just can't, like my knee just wouldn't straight, and you just gotta push it back like as hard as you can, and it just pops over.
Oh man, that sounds awful. Fun. Yeah,
I know. That's why. Yeah, it's funny. They always said it would all catch up with me, but
well, he's still doing pretty good, I think. Yeah, he's still fully functioning, which is pretty fucking good for someone who went so mental. Yeah. so now you just like you're just full-time DJ.
Yep.
And how long's that been?
I've been doing that for a living. It's been like my full-time gig for the last like almost 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. What was you doing before that?
Graphic design still.
Oh, graphic design, yeah?
Yeah. I worked at my friend had a print shop. I worked there, and then I would do some like freelance stuff. And then when we started Desert Hearts, I designed the logo.
All right.
I was like one of the last things. And then I was doing like the graphic design work for Desert Hearts at first, but then I couldn't keep up with it with like touring and because
where did you play like around the world or mostly US?
But before COVID, we were like starting to play more internationally. Like we'd just done a tour of Australia, New Zealand. I'd been to Fiji. We'd like earlier that year we did a tour of Europe where I was in Iceland I was in Reykjavik for the summer solstice. And then we were in Barcelona, Berlin, Hamburg, London. But then COVID hit, and since then, the only international thing I've done is like Mexico, Canada. I was just in Canada.
Okay. But
like we tour the US pretty much constantly, and in the US, like we can make more money at the moment. So
yeah. And what is Desert Hearts? Is it a night or what's the story?
It was a festival that my friends and I. It is a festival that my friends and I started 10 years ago. Like we just basically threw like a renegade party in the desert, and like word got out. And then 6 months later, I mean, there was only a few hundred people there. 6 months later, we did another one. It was like 800 people, and then it kept building up until like we had like 5,000 people come, and then it was. It just was building and building all the way until COVID. And then COVID was just like,
stopped. Yeah.
Yeah. I just stopped everything. I went from like, I was doing great. I just bought invested in property and then all of a sudden I was like making nothing.
Yeah. Switched off. Yeah. Fuck that.
And it's taken a while to come back. And then also I took a little break from touring and It gets hard. I would say it gets hard, like being gone every weekend too. There is, there's ups and downs. It's like you have friends everywhere, but then you're not really hanging out with your friends where you live.
Yeah, your home base.
Yeah. So.
Oh man. So, but that's what you're doing for the foreseeable. Desert Hearts, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did. So the festival, after doing the festival for a few years, that like we got voted like best, boutique festival or something like that. And then we just started touring together as a group, the four of us. There's four of us that started Desert Hearts. Well, there were more, but I have three other partners now. And we all DJ. So we tour together as Desert Hearts and play like at clubs. And like this weekend, we have a big party in LA. And then next weekend, I'm doing solo shows. I'm in like Charlotte, North Carolina on Friday, and then Grand Rapids, Michigan on Saturday. And then the weekend after that, I'm not sure, New York maybe. We have a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah, you're going for it. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, we play all over. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Lots of air miles, lots of hotels.
Yeah, it sounds like ping-ponging around the US there.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's good shit, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
I wanted to ask you as well. Do you keep up with BMX still?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I was just like glued to the TV all weekend, like before last for the X Games.
Oh, okay.
And then I follow like a lot of, I would say I keep up on it. I have like, I'm on Instagram quite a bit, and I would say like half of the shit that pops up in my thread is BMX.
BMX stuff.
I follow pretty much like every BMX site.
Have you noticed that it's like split into groups, like really like splintered? Have you noticed that?
Like how, like
the types of riding,
it's not, definitely like flatland.
5 different ways of doing street riding, 5 different ways of riding a skate park or a bowl. Like it's all like really broken up. I wonder if someone who's a little bit off of it would notice that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess I didn't really notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might notice now. Yeah, that someone's mentioned it. So so for instance, if you watch the X Games, that's like one set of things that people do. And then if you watch some trail riding, is very, for the most part, is very different to what they're doing. And then and then within them factions, like the street, and it's all broken into even smaller bits that you don't necessarily recognize until you start looking at it quite deeply. Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird. Yeah. I just wondered if you'd noticed that. Yeah.
I know. I was just so impressed with all the writing, and it's like the backwards bunny hop, fucking. Yeah. So that was insane.
Yeah.
And then the dirt. I really like the dirt finals. The dirt finals were crazy.
Okay. So it's, for instance, like, that's like a dirt jumping thing. And like, if you look at trail riding, it's completely like different to what those guys actually do in that like mega spinning round and all kind of shit happening. But it's very splintered. Yeah. I just wondered if you noticed.
Yeah. Like the trail riding, they don't get to have the massive like running, right? Like,
It's just like very like, like it's more like, I'd say more like current day vert almost, the way that they ride the vert ramps now, the good vert riders anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But
I mean, I miss the BMX vert though. Obviously, I wish they'd bring that back. But
that wasn't in it. No, I don't even watch that stuff.
They don't have BMX vert anymore. They have like mega ramp. They have like the mega ramp, but they don't just have like there's no BMX half pipe. In fact, they just bought back skateboard half pipe. I think this year. They were trying to get rid of that too. I don't know why.
Maybe, I would say BMX is possibly the next thing they're going to bring back, then half pipe, I would guess. But
I hope so.
Because that Tony Hawk thing is getting a bit of traction, isn't it? With I don't know if you've seen it. They do that demo every year, and that seems to be getting pretty popular.
Yeah.
For the right reasons. But man. Well, I'm good if you are to leave it there. If you can think of anything else.
No. Just shout out to all my friends I used to ride with, and thank you for having me. And
oh man, thanks for doing it. Appreciate it. Yeah, fucking. It's a story I need to hear. Yeah.
If anyone lives in Chicago and wants to ride with me, I found out what all the parks are, so I'm working my way up to it.
Give him a shout. Yeah, man.
Yeah, give me a shout.
All right, Lee.
All right.
Thanks very much, man.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching or listening, whichever one you did. If you want to support the channel, like, comment and subscribe. We also have some merch available. Soft goods, hard goods, Union zines, new Union Speed Roast coffee over on the Bicycle Union site. Go check it out. See you next time, jabronis.